morning, students. My name is Mrs. Mercy. I'm here to teach you biology. Today we'll be talking on a topic, classification of living things, which will include the classification of plants and animals. Classification of living things simply means or involves the placing of living things into groups that have certain features in common. And in this classification of living things, we classify living things based on, classification of living things is based on 7 groups, which is called the hierarchy of classifying living things. These 7 groups involved in classification of living things is, we have it from the highest hierarchy to the lowest hierarchy, and it goes like this. The first hierarchy is the kingdom, followed by what? Phylum or division, after which we have class, then we have order, we have family, and we have genus, and we have what? Species. These are the hierarchy of classifying living things, or the 7 groups involved in classification of living things. Today we'll be looking at what? The classification of what? Plants, which will now take us to what? The plant kingdom. If you look down at our hierarchy, we have kingdom, phylum, or division. If we are to classify animals, we go to what? Phylum. But since we are classifying plants, we will use what? Division. Now, in plant kingdom is divided into 3 divisions. And these 3 divisions include, these are the what? The 3 divisions involved in the classification of what? Plant kingdom. The first one, we have the what? The Thallophytes. The second division, we have the Bryophytes. And the last division, we have the Trachyphytes. If you look at these divisions, it is from the simplest to the what? To the highest. When you talk about the Thallophytes, it's just simply about simple aquatic plants, which include organisms like the Spirogyra, Volvox, etc. There are so many under these what? Thallophytes. These organisms, they do not have true roots, stems, and leaves. But the only thing that makes them plants is that they can manufacture their food through what? Sunlight, because they have the pigment called what? Chloroplast. Then the second one is called the Bryophytes. The Bryophytes, they are mainly what? They live in what? They are terrestrial what? Plants. And these organisms, they do not have what? True roots or what? Stems. But they have what we call the rhizoid. They include organisms like the what? Only 2 organisms, the liverworts and the mosses. Now that is on the what? The Bryophytes. Now the Trachyphytes. This is the largest division in the plant kingdom, and they are called the vascular plants. They are called the vascular plants. The Trachyphytes are called the what? The vascular plants. Why then do we call the Trachyphytes the vascular plants? Because they have what? Vascular bundles. And these vascular bundles, because they have what? Vascular bundles. And these vascular bundles include the xylem and the what? The phloem. These xylem and the phloem, that is what helps them to be among the highest plants in the plant kingdom. Because this xylem, the function of this xylem is that it helps the plant to conduct water from the ground to the what, from the ground to the root, and from the root to the leaves. While the phloem, what it does is that the function of the phloem is that what it does is that after manufacturing of food, after photosynthesis, it helps to translocate food from the site of manufacturing to where it is stored, or where it is what needed by plants. Now this trichophyte, since it is also known as vascular plant, it is one of the largest division in plant kingdom. That's why it's further subdivided into two. Now we have two subdivision of Trichophyta. The first one, we have the Pteridophyta, and we have the what? The Spermatophyta. All these are the two subdivisions of what? Trichophytes. But the only difference between the Pteridophyta and the Spermatophyte is that this very Pteridophyta has it doesn't produce flower, it doesn't produce what? Seeds. They are known as what? Non-seed producing, non-flowering what? Plants. Now, example of Pteridophyta include the ferns. Now the Spermatophyte, they are seed producing and flowering plants. And because there are still some other plants under this Spermatophyta is further divided into what? Two classes. Now the Spermatophyta is divided into two classes, and these are the what? The Gymnosperm. Gymnosperms, and you have the Angiosperms. Now looking at the Gymnosperms are non-flowering plants that produce seed with naked, that produce seed, but their seeds are what? Naked. While the Angiosperms, and examples of the Gymnosperms are the pines, they have what? Naked seeds. While the Angiosperms is further divided into two. We have the monocotyledon, and we have the dicotyledon. Now, looking at these, the monocotyledon and the dicotyledon, they are the two classes of what? Angiosperms. The monocotyledon are those plants with what? One seed leaf. If you look at the diagram here, we want to see exactly what I mean by monocot plants are those plants with one seed leaf. That is why they are called mono, which means one. Then what I mean by one seed leaf is that if you look at this diagram, this is a seed of a monocot. And if you look at this leaf that is coming out from the soil, you notice that it is only one seed leaf. It's just having only one leaf. Then we talk about the what? The dicot. These are plants with what? Two seed leaves. Now this is a dicot plant. And if you look at this diagram now, you can see that it has what? Two seed leaves. Now, we are going to look at other differences between a monocot plant and a dicot plant. One thing we said is that this one has what? One seed leaf, which I have showed you. Then the second one, this one has what? Two seed leaves. The second thing again about the monocot plant is that the monocots, they have what we call what? Parallel venation. Parallel venation. Why this one has what? Net venation. Now what I mean by parallel venation is this. If you look at these monocot plants, you see that the veins. This is exactly what I mean by the veins. If you look at this leaf, notice that the leaf, the vein is just on a parallel side. But if you look at this, you notice that after a line goes this way, it's as if the line is being crossed. That is what we mean by what? Net venation. Another thing about the monocot plant is that it has, if you look at the root of a monocot plant, it has what we call what? Fibrous roots. It has fibrous root system. The monocot has fibrous root system. This is exactly what we mean by fibrous root system. If you look at this, you can easily pull out a monocot plant with your two hands. But a dicot plant, it has taproot system because the root is deep into the soil. These are some of the differences between monocot plants and what? Dicot plants.